So we're here to help you, walk you through the step-by-step process. We have a 6-step process to helping you protest your property taxes. And I've been teaching this class for many years. And one quick disclaimer is I am not a property tax protest expert in the sense that I do not get paid to teach this class and to help you protest your property taxes. So I am a real estate agent. I have a real estate team here in Austin. Our team is called the Williams team. And we are a real estate team that's run out of this office. And so as an added value to our former clients, we teach this class every year because I'm all about helping our clients save as much money as they can. When they buy a home, when they sell a home, I want them to make money, I want them to save money. And when it comes to your property taxes, I want you to save money too. So we're teaching this class as an added value. On average, we're saving clients around $500 to $1,000 year over year. And there are some clients that I've helped save year over year over year, and so they've saved thousands of dollars over the years. So what we request in return is if you know of anybody who needs to buy or sell real estate, or if you yourself need to buy or sell real estate, just come to us. We have awesome agents on our team. I'm going to introduce you to our team here in a minute. Please send us your referrals because that helps pay us back, and then we're going to continue to add value and invite you to our wonderful events that we host, and it's a great relationship. Does that sound like a good agreement? Awesome. So let me do a quick introduction to my awesome team. So first of all, I'm Kristen Williams, the owner of the Williams Real Estate team here, and I'm the owner and president. Got my husband Carter. We run the team together. He's our vice president and manages our operations. We have Amy, who's our marketing coordinator, and she does all of the marketing to help our listings sell super fast. We have Hannah, which is our buyer specialist, and we have our newest member over here, Brittany, and she's a showing partner. So the two of them run our buyer agent team. And then Bobby, who let you into the house, he's our client coordinator. And then we have Emily outside, our office manager, director of operations. So we have a big team here. Our team is here to serve our clients and take really excellent care to make sure that we have a really great experience when you buy or sell real estate with us. So let's dive right in.
Come over here just so that you're not blocking the screen.
Can everybody see? Perfect. So, diving right in, what we want to do is we want to explain, number one, how does the property tax value, how does that work? Then we're going to walk you through our 6-step process, and then I'm going to share some examples and some forms for you so you know exactly how to fill out that form when it's time to fill the form out. Sound good? Everybody with me? Yep. All right, so how do we explain what market value is? So there's a difference between market value and appraised value. Does everyone know the difference, or do you want me to explain? I'll explain. So market value is what you could sell the house for. If you were to call me and say, Kristen, sell my house today, I would give you a market value based on sales comparables, likely in the same condition of your home. Appraised value is what the county thinks the value of your home is worth. It's not necessarily based on what recent sales are. So often there's a big difference, sometimes a very big difference, sometimes not a very big difference in the market value and the appraised value. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Had a client who bought a home last year and she paid about $475 and the appraised value came back at $450. And she called me and she said, did I overpay for my house? The county appraised my value at $450 and I paid $475. I said, no, that's actually a good thing because you're being taxed on your county appraised value, not the market value. You never want your market value to be the same as your appraised value because that means you're probably paying more in taxes than you should. Does that make sense? So moving on to the next step. Oh, also just a quick note, you are protesting your appraised value. This is about that. It's not about protesting the tax rate. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. Does anybody go down to the city council and protest the tax rate when they raised it a little by little by little? Has anybody ever done that? No, most people don't do that. So you can protest the tax rate, yet most people don't. So what we're really here to protest is the appraised value that the county thinks your value is valued at. So next, we're going to talk about, there we go, the difference between how we're going to determine what data to use. So there's sales data and then there's equity data. So sales data is directly looking at sales comparables from homes that sold the year prior. So if you're protesting in 2018, you want to look at comps from 2017. And comps are determined by similar size, similar location, similar quality, similar condition. So that's what I'm gonna be able to help you do today, is help you with the sales data. The equity data basically is not necessarily homes that have sold within the past year, it's just homes in the similar neighborhood that are similar size that have similar appraised values. So they call that kind of neighborhooding. So if you live in a neighborhood where there have been very little sales, like sometimes a rural neighborhood doesn't have a lot of sales to compare, then you'll maybe take the equity approach and look at what are your neighbors, what's the neighborhood appraised value looking like, and do comparisons from there. Yet I don't have all the tools and resources to do the equity version of protesting. I help you on the sales side with sales comparables. Sound good? See nodding heads, that means we're
So
on.
that part you would find on like TCAD or something.
On TCAD, you would go to TCAD.
Look at neighborhood.
You'd go to
Stuff.
the Travis County Tax Appraisal District or Williamson or whichever district you're in, pull up neighboring properties and go around it that way.
Okay.
So then to show you how appraisers, the appraisal district's gonna find the value, they're gonna look at similar data. They're gonna look at, their best bet is to find sales comps. So they're gonna look at sales comps. They are going to be looking at doing on-site inspections from time to time. So if they know that there were building permits or remodeling permits pulled on properties, they see that and they'll do site inspections and drive by and see, oh, well, that was a crummy little bungalow that got torn down and now it's this big modern monstrosity. We know exactly what it now looks like. So they're gonna chase deeds. So anytime a property transfers from one person to the next, that's a deed transfer, they're gonna know that. And so that's how the county, and they get really good. I mean, it's pretty easy nowadays with all of the technology that we have that's available to figure out what homes have sold for. So they're gonna use, of course, the highest sales comparables that they can find. So if a home sold at top dollar in your neighborhood, the county's gonna use that as a comp versus the home that sold at bottom dollar. So that's how the county's getting really, really good at being able to determine the values. So now I'm gonna walk you through a 6-step protest process. So step 1 is determine whether or not it's worth it to protest your property. I know, Alex, you asked, should I even protest my property value? So yes, the answer is yes, you should protest if you feel like your home is overvalued. So what that means is, like Miss Mary, correct?
Yes.
Her property value went up by like $150,000. She absolutely should protest because that's just outright silly. An example of, we have a home in Central Austin that the value went down 2 years ago, and it's homesteaded, and so the most that the county could raise that value is 10%. And when it went down for 2 years straight, it went significantly down below what there's absolutely any chance we would have been able to sell it for, way more. So I know that we could have sold that house for probably $100,000 to $150,000 more than the appraised value because it had been homesteaded for so long. And when we bought it in a really down market. So there's no chance I'm gonna go protest the value on that property because I don't want them to say, you know what, actually let's raise it by $100,000 because the county can raise it or lower it. Usually they're gonna lower it, yet they can choose to raise it. So to determine yes or no. So if you feel like it's undervalued, don't protest. If you feel like it's overvalued, do protest. Step 2, if you bought a home in 2017, raise your hand. Is anyone in this room a 2017 purchaser? Okay, yeah, handful. So this specifically applies to you. If you bought in 2017 and the county has appraised your value for more than you paid for the house, you want to protest. If the county appraised your value for less than you paid for, you do not want to protest. Does that make sense? The reason you don't want to protest is the county considers market value to be what you paid for the home. So if you paid $300,000 for the home last year, then that's market value to the county. Even if maybe you think the market's gone down, they're just gonna say flat out market value is $300,000, even if you bought it at $300,000. So if it's $290,000, don't protest. And I actually had that happen. A client bought it for a home for $302,000 and the value was $298,000, and they're like, it had been $250,000 and it went up to $298,000, yet they paid $302,000. So I said, you're like $4,000 under, don't protest, because then they're gonna raise it to $302,000. So the county will raise it to whatever you paid for it if you protest. So don't protest. Got it? If you bought the home prior to the previous year. Then you can use sales comps, or you can do the equity approach to determine whether or not you need a protest. So then that's how you know the difference. So if you're gonna protest your value from 2017, you're gonna wanna have your closing disclosure. They called it a CD at closing. And if we sold you your house, we can get that over to you and we can email that over really easily. So next, step number 2. We're gonna wanna make sure that on your sample forms, and we're gonna have sample forms at the back of this, that we help you fill out your protest form correctly. Quick notes, the deadline to mail in your protest is May 15th. You do want to write down that you want to mail in your protest form via certified mail as close to the deadline as possible. So think about it this way, because this was presented to me this way, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it this way. The county is getting tons of people like you mailing in these protest forms as soon as they started getting their appraisal notice, and we're like, oh my gosh. So they're getting these forms in the mail. So they're filing and scheduling hearings based on the order in which they have been received. If they're scheduling it based on the order in which they received, the later you mail in your form, the later your hearing date. The first people who are protesting their taxes are likely to be the ones that the county is like, no, my data is good, we're strong, this is correct data. Yet, if you are one of the later protests, they've been beaten up by people like you all summer long who said, your data's wrong, you need to lower my value, and they get worn down over the protest season. So it makes sense to be one of the later protests versus the beginning, because the beginning they're a lot less negotiable than they are after they've been beat up all year long. So mail it in, certified mail towards the end of the deadline, you're likely to get a later protest, which is what you want. Yes?
Not electronic?
You can do it electronic too. I haven't found people who've done electronic to be as successful at negotiating a significantly lower taxable value, because when you meet a person face to face and you're negotiating with an appraiser face to face, you're usually able to make some headway. When you're doing it all electronically, it's just straight facts, numbers, and you can't sway or sell your way into winning as much. So that's what I'll say about that.
Mine says protest filing deadline May 2nd.
You're Williamson. So yeah, yours is Williamson. So sorry.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you get your form in sooner than that. And Travis County is May 15th. So on your form, I'll take questions at the end. Write it down
Okay.
so you don't forget, and I may answer your question in doing this actually. On the form, there are 2 boxes you're going to want to check, and I have them right here. You're going to want to check value is over market value, and value is unequal compared with other properties. Those are the 2 boxes on your protest form that you're going to want to check. And one thing to note, incorrect appraised value. The first 2 boxes are the ones that you'll want to check on the protest form. And then you're never going to want to suggest what you think the market value is worth. When they say, what do you think it's worth? Don't put a number, just leave it blank. And then you are going to want to ask for the appraisal review packet that they will send to you if you request it. So it says, do you want the appraisal review packet? Say, yes, I want it. So, step number 3, schedule your hearing. So the way you're going to get, after you've mailed in your form, it's going to be mailed in, most likely see it certified mail. They're going to receive it. You're going to receive a notice in the mail with your hearing date. So you'll receive a letter that looks very similar, and it says your hearing date is this, and it's going to say your informal hearing date is one day, and then your formal hearing date's another. Do your very best to make it to your informal hearing date. Make sense? Write that down if you can, because you cannot reschedule your informal hearing date, and getting an informal hearing, you have a more likely opportunity to win that negotiation than if you go to the formal hearing. So do everything you can in your power to go to the informal, unless you're like out of the country or something, or having a baby or something like that. Make sure you go to that one. And then your informal hearing can be rescheduled, but your informal one cannot. So just make sure you do what you can to make it the informal. Now I'm going to explain the difference on step 4 between formal and informal. Oh, wait. Nope, never mind, hold on, that's it, sorry, step 4, gather your evidence, and then I'll explain the difference, that's step 5. So, gathering your evidence, so evidence looks like sales comparables, and that's what I can come into play for. I can help pull old sales, and sometimes I'm not able to find very many good sales, where you may say, well, my property value says this, and I look at comps and I say, there is literally no sales data that I can send you. I had somebody who I ran comps for a few days ago, and they live in a neighborhood that's between 250 and 350, and their values went up to right at 300, and there's really hardly anything that sold under 300 in their neighborhood that's their same size. So I sent them back 2 comps and I said, these might work, yet I'm not really certain that they're gonna be a good sales comps for you, so you may not win, which is a good thing, because that means if they don't win and these comps don't work, they're at the lowest possible price they could be at, because there was nothing below that I could really find as evidence to support a protest for them. So it could be that the market's been really, really strong. I don't know when every single person had bought a home in the past, yet the market has appreciated in Travis and Williamson and Hayes quite significantly. So if you've had Homestead and the value's gone up 10% year over year, that still might be lower than what the actual market value is that you can sell your home for. So it's quite possible you may not be able to protest. Yet evidence are comps. If you have a roof leak, if you have a foundation problem, if you have some major drainage issues, if you've got an infested attic with rats or rodents or something, like if you've got anything that's a really big defect on your property, make sure to document pictures and evidence of that. If you have quotes because you need foundation repair and you don't have the money to fix it, and you have a quote, bring that with you to the hearing. So bring evidence like that, any pictures, any quotes, that's helpful. If you back up to any of the MOPAC improvement or the 45 stuff that's going on, that's a defect in the sense that that negatively impacts your property value at this time. So you can bring evidence like that, yet sales comps tend to be the most common form of evidence. Then step number 5 is attending your hearing, and now I'm going to explain the difference between the informal and the formal. So the informal hearing, I've been at many informal hearings, because every year, Carter, my husband and I, we have a few rental properties and we'll protest most of them each year. So I've sat across the desk of an informal hearing appraiser, and it's always gone really well. They're very nice, normal people just like you and me. They're not out there to get you. They really are there to help you. As long as you're really nice to them, right? You know, be nice, that goes a long way. You're gonna sit across the desk, just have a conversation. You're gonna show up with all your evidence, which is your comps, your pictures, and you're gonna say, I think my home is overvalued. Here's why, here's the evidence that my real estate agent put together for me. And then you're gonna send that over to them, and then they're gonna take a look at everything, and then they're gonna click away on the computer, run some numbers, and they may say, you know, Mr. or Mrs., I can't help you because it's really actually undervalued, or, you know, here's what I could do. I bet I can lower the value by 20,000 or 40,000 or whatever the number might be. And it's just a negotiation that you have across the table with another nice, kind human being, because they've all been really pleasant to work with. If you go to the formal hearing, you are with an appraiser in a more formalized room, formal setting, the appraiser, 3 constituents, so you've got to convince 4 people versus 1. It's under oath, there's a deputy in there, and it's a lot more formal and a little bit scary, and you have to convince 4 people versus 1. So that's why I say do everything you can to attend the informal, because you're more likely to win with that person than you are in a formal process. And if you say no to the appraiser at the informal hearing, and then you go to the formal hearing and you don't win, you can't get that number from the informal hearing back. So write this down. If you like the number that the informal hearing appraiser gives you, just take it and sign off and then be happy. So that's the difference between the 2. Any questions? Yeah, good. All right, step 6, present the evidence. Oh.
You threw out, like, if he comes back with 40,000 or 80,000 less, I mean, is that a reasonable waiver, or like 20,000, is that? You know?
No, I just threw out a number as an example. So I believe one of our values, I got down like $5,000, because that was like the most that was even realistic. So not every property that you're protesting, and since I don't know the specifics of where you're at versus what you could protest it for, there's not like a standard, oh, you should get 3% off or 5% off. I just kind of made that up. So it's basically whatever you think the sales range of the comps you're providing look like they should indicate is kind of the ballpark that you're hoping to get in. And sometimes they'll say, you know, these comps are not the same class, and so the county classifies houses based on building class, and you and I don't have access to any of that data. So when I run comps, I don't know what property class, building class every single home is in versus compared to your home. So I'll pull all the comps that are the lowest comps that I can find, yet if those comps are in a lower building class than your house, then they may say, you know, these don't work, and that could happen. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. We lost our, is it coming back? We're almost done actually, so.
It's okay.
It's coming back, okay. So present the evidence, that's our next step, step 6. And we can email if you want this.
Everyone's gonna get emailed the presentation and a recording, so.
Perfect, so you can watch this all you want and you can have the presentation
On
too.
replay.
I'm sure you're gonna want to, yes. And then step 6, present the evidence. So like I'd already said, you take all your evidence, you wanna make sure you have copies for, if you're in the formal hearing, you wanna have 4 extra copies. If you're in the informal, just 1 extra copy will do. Give it to the appraiser, then you have your evidence package, they have their evidence package, and then you share that with them. And then you just wait for them to come back with a number that hopefully you're really happy with and that you can be on your way. And it's usually a fairly quick process. You're usually maybe gonna wait 15 to 30 minutes before they call you. You check in and register, and then the appraiser will come say, Kristen Williams, time to head back out, and then they come grab you and then take you to their desk, and then you do your thing, and then it's actually quite simple. So you'll present your evidence, and then I'm going to show you these sample exhibit forms. So I already said in earlier steps, the 2 boxes here are going to want to check. Our value is unequal and property is over market value. It's a little hard to read. This is small, yet those first 2 boxes are what you're going to check. And then I always highlight and write in send the evidence package and field card. So write that down in that box. You'll want to do that, and then you don't want to fill the value in when they ask you what they think the value is. So, and then one more exhibit form. So this is going to be the form that they're going to mail you in the mail once you've sent in your protest form, and they tell you when your hearing is going to be. Then they tell you, here's your informal date and here's your formal date. So they'll tell you the 2 dates, and then you have to calendar those. I remember one year I had just had our baby, and our informal hearing was like 2 weeks after Ellie, our baby, was born, and I just I didn't calendar it, I totally missed it, so I had to go to the formal, so put it on your calendar. You probably won't be having a baby at that time, although Alex might. His wife is. So
And then
now,
Yep, you're good.
okay, so now that we've gone through the 6-step process, and I've explained to you the difference between market value and appraised value and what to do in formal hearing, the next step is, if you want me to help you, then I want you to go sign up, write this website down, and we'll send it to you in an email.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It'll be hyperlinked.
And I'm gonna do a 15-minute tax protest, so I want you to sign up so that notifies me that I need to help you for a 15-minute session where I can get all the comps prepared and then over to you guys. So click in the calendar app, we'll send you an email and sign up for that, and I will help you. And then the dates I'm gonna be doing these 15-minute sessions are on April the 30th and May the 2nd. So we'll follow up with an email with all of this data and information as well. And then I really want to help you guys save some money. And then, a reminder, we're here in the business to grow our business. So if you know of anybody who needs to buy or sell, or you yourself need to buy or sell, please let us know, and we will take awesome care of y'all.